Even in our safety, all of us fly here. All of us fly here. Nobody, if you tell somebody to take cab, go by road to Maiduguri, you will not go. All of us fly here. So why are we trying to compromise our safety? It's a critical issue. Who is bringing this fuel? And what price are they bringing? Somebody has to regulate them.
In his intervention, Group Managing Director of the NNPC Limited, Mele Kiari, assured that his outfit will do everything possible to address the issue of supply of Jet A1, while also collaborating the statement that there was enough supply of the product in the country. The National Association of Road Transport Owners has raised the alarm that the cost of diesel was becoming unaffordable for the transportation of premium motor spirit, popularly called petrol, using tankers. In his address at the annual general meeting of the association, the national president, NATO, Yusuf Otman, told stakeholders in the downstream oil sector that the price of diesel was becoming increasingly unbearable for road transport owners. Otman commended the federal government for increasing the freight rate as requested by transporters, but expressed regrets that the price of diesel had compounded the cost of operations. NATO members. The Executive Secretary, Major Oil Marketers Association of Nigeria, Clement Isong, who made a virtual presentation at the AGM, said ongoing war in Eastern Europe had complicated the volatility in the oil industry in Nigeria. He said marketers had yet to come out of the unpleasant development of the contaminated fuel that was imported into Nigeria a few months ago, coupled with high foreign exchange rates. Now, the Joint Committees on Anti-Corruption and Public Service Matters says 60% of the yearly budget is appropriated for personnel costs that cater for staff of ministries, departments, and agencies of government. This was the position of the committee at the resumed investigative hearing on the high level of corruption on nominal roles of MDAs in the country. The committee, led by its deputy chairman, Representative Dachong Bagos, maintained that the National Assembly will put measures in place to stem the alleged fraud practices in some MDAs across the federation. In his submission, the chairman, Independent Corrupt Practices, Bolaji Awosonye, disclosed that some ministries and agencies of government are involved in massive corrupt practices, adding that his outfit has been putting measures in place to curtail the situation.
Salaries have been released for the month and you have huge excesses, and it's not because people have retired or people died and nobody is being owed salary and there's still plenty of money on the salary. It is indicative that something had gone wrong and that the payroll, the nominal roll, most likely had been padded. We also found out that this surplus personnel costs fund is largely due to fraud.
On his part, the Chairman's Salaries and Wages Commission, Ekbunta, says surpluses detected from the Ministries of Education and Health, if adequately harnessed, would cater for staff remuneration, thereby addressing the incessant strike actions.
We carry out what we call salary inspection every year to selected MDAs and highlight these infractions. Those funds were actually judiciously managed. We would not be having all these unnecessary strikes that are going on. There's a whole lot of locum going on there.
The federal government has called on the United States government to support Nigeria with funds to develop Nigeria's natural gas resources so as to serve as alternative source of energy for Europe. It made the call on the heels of the war by Russia and Ukraine, which posed a threat and disruption of gas supplies from Russia to the entire Europe. The Minister of State Petroleum Resources, Chief Timmy Silva, disclosed this while speaking at a meeting with the U.S. Secretary of Energy, Jennifer Granholm, on the sidelines of the ongoing Sierra Week in Houston, Texas. Silva said the collaboration between the U.S. and Nigeria in this area would be of immense benefit to both countries as well as the entire globe. The minister told Granholm that Nigeria had abundant natural gas resources that could meet European gas demands, but stressed that the problem had been access to funds. On her part, Granholm said the U.S. was ready to cooperate with Nigeria to develop Nigeria's renewable energy sector, as she stated that her government was not against the development of gas or other sources of energy. The Nigeria Customs Service Federal Operations Unit, Zone A, Lagos State, has seized smuggled items including rice, petrol, frozen poultry products, among others, in February 2022. The acting controller, Federal Operations Unit, Zone A, Hussein Ejibono, who confirmed the development, said the duty paid value of the seized items was 587 million naira. Revenue generated through recoveries of low value, transfer of value, wrong classification, and public auction sales of PMS amounted to 79 million naira. Ejibono said the Southwest Zone had become hot for smugglers to operate freely in recent times, adding that the fight against smuggling activities should be a collaborative effort. Now, the Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries has said the push against new investments in the oil and gas sector was currently affecting economic recovery negatively, both in Nigeria and other parts of the world. Some international oil companies such as Shell and ExxonMobil recently exited Nigeria's onshore fields, as analysts said this was due to the global push for energy transition and net carbon zero target. In his keynote address during the Nigeria Energy Forum at the CERA Week 2022 in Houston, Texas, OPEC Secretary General Sanusi Barkindo decried the seeming halt in new investments in the oil sector. He noted that the uncertainty and at times contradictory signals in policy making in some parts of the world could have harmful knock-on impacts, particularly if it hindered necessary investments and demand starts to outstrip supply. At the just concluded Energy Summit in Abuja, the Group Managing Director, Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, Mele Kyari, had insisted that NNPC would continue to develop Nigeria's gas resources despite the exit of IOCs from the country due to the net carbon zero drive. It's time now to link up with Femi Ujo for some stock exchange reports.
Good morning. Here is some activities on the floor of the Nigerian Stock Exchange for yesterday, the 10th day in the month of March 2022. It was a bullish closing remark for investors on the floor of the stock market as the whole share index appreciated by 0.16% to close at 47,363.98 basis points. Over 261.5 million units of shares valued at over 4.477 billion naira was traded in 4,672 deals, and we have the equity capitalization summing up to over 25.5 trillion naira. I look at the top three gainers. We have R3 Bisco topping the gainers pack, gaining 6 kobo to close at 67 kobo. UACN gained 90 kobo to close at 10.5 kobo. And Ohando gained 43 kobo to close at 5.30 kobo. For the decliners, we have Royales topping the pack, losing 14 kobo to close at 1.34 kobo. ABC Trans lost 3 kobo to close at 32 kobo. And Maybaker lost 31 kobo to close at 4.60 kobo. For the major players, we have Curtis topping the pack, trading over 31.7 million units of shares. Access traded over 15.3 million units of shares. FCMB traded over 15.1 million units of shares. Fidelity Bank traded over 14.9 million units of shares. And Zenith Bank traded over 14.3 million units of shares. That was the summary of trading activities on the floor of the stock market for yesterday, the 10th day in the month of March 2022. Join me on Monday when I bring you the outcome of today's trading. I am Femi Ujo.
And that's it on Business Splash for today on Splash 105.5 FM, your integrity station. Join us next week for another edition. Good morning. Thank you for listening. I'm Ronke Giwa Onafuwa.
Quick, charge at 240.
Hot news, cool vibes, sports, and more.